Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are back and we are live, Recon Angling Live, December 3rd, 2024. So if you guys are live and watching with us, go ahead and let's see some shout out comments coming up here. Got a few things to talk about tonight. You know, it's beginning of ice season most places, so a lot of people are excited to get out on the ice, try out some new products that are out there. Um, just a whole bunch of things this time of year that you can do. You could take the boat out. You can go ice fishing all in the same day this time of year. So there's really there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. So we're going to talk about quite a few things in that perspective, I guess. We got some new hats too, as you can see. This is uh, the new Recon Angling, like black camo, I guess you could say. It's been one of my favorite new hats. We just got a bunch of these in, so got some different colors in there. Anyway, we'll give it a few minutes here. Did a little shorter intro. Coming in here, so we'll give it a minute for these comments to come in here. So let's see here. If you guys are watching, go ahead and let's have a couple comments just to make sure that I can hear you guys on here, or you guys can hear me, I should say. And then we'll kind of keep it going, but we'll give it a few minutes here. I shortened the intro to the show a little bit tonight, so it's a little shorter than usual. So we'll give folks a moment here to come in, and we'll get cruising with a bunch of different stuff here to talk about. Here we go. I'm trying to see. Dude, had a battery laying around here somewhere, and I'm not sure what I did with it. So, hey, we got a comment finally. Sean's watching. So you guys go ahead and check in, get your shout outs in if you're watching. He just got back from inside the shop. We got a little bit of ice here at the gorge, all the way up at Firehole. There's about 4 to 6 inches of ice up by Firehole. So it has been pretty cold at night. Looks like it's going to warm up just a little bit, but it should still be making ice at night. I'm actually getting ready to go to the St. Paul Ice Fishing Expo Thursday morning. Flying in, so I'll be up there. So I'll try to do some videos, maybe do some live stuff while I'm there, walk around with you guys, get an idea just how big this show is out there in St. Paul. Yeah, if you guys are watching, go ahead and comment on here. But we got some new stuff that's coming out this year. So I'll just start out with talking about the official dates for this year's Mac Attack tournament that we do here at Buckboard Marina. So it's going to be February 15th, 16th, and 17th. So it is going to be 3 days long this year. So people will be able to start fishing at 5 a.m. Saturday, February 15th. And then you can fish till 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. And then we'll have all the weigh-ins and stuff like that. But pretty good payouts. We already got some amazing sponsors for the Derby. So, Stryker is donating a men's Apex suit, a women's Stella suit, and then a Youth Avenger suit, and some other swag. And then Norsk Lithium is donating some batteries as well. So quick shout out to them for the tournament. But once again, that's February 15th, 16th, and 17th. So President's Day weekend in February. It is a 3-day event. So you guys really maximize your time out on the ice. And we have categories for, it's going to be just most lake trout. So last few years we did combined weight, this year and average weight. This year it's just the most lake trout. It's designed to kind of go after that large pup population that we're dealing with here at the gorge. So all lake trout under 25 inches. So that's kind of it'll be the most lake trout. So the most lake trout entered per team less than 25 inches will win. If two or more teams enter the same amount of pups, the tiebreaker will be the first team and their fish on Monday. So, and then there's heaviest individual lake trout under 25 inches by weight. And then lightest individual lake trout, less than 14 inches, biggest burbot as well. And then we'll probably have a side pot. But that is this year's Mac Attack Derby that's coming up President's Day weekend. So a little bit later this year, hopefully we'll have more ice, more room for you guys to move around. But it is most lake trout. So it's not combined weight or anything like that. It goes off the number of lake trout. There's plenty of categories in here too, that if you're not too confident of catching a bunch of lake trout, you still have an opportunity. If you happen into a larger lake trout under 25 inches, 24 3/4, that's a nice little fat dude. It'll give you opportunity to win some money along with burbot, and then we'll have some side pots too for rainbow and cutthroat. So anyway, yeah, so we'll go ahead and we'll talk about something that I've been working on with Dynamic for a few years, and this is going to be the new Dynamic Lures lake trout rod. So this is a 46-inch medium heavy rod. And a lot of you guys looking at this might, say, hey, it looks similar to the hot rod, but it is a little bit different. It's got a, full metal reel seat, wooden. What's going on, Danny? It's got a wooden inset here. So this is real wood, cork handle, and then a nice stop on here, but a nice long handle and 46-inch rod. And this really is kind of after the guys that are looking at a a kind of more affordable option, I guess you could say, to catch big lake trout on. This is going to retail for around $80. And it's just that nice midpoint rod here for you guys. Of course, if you want a nice custom rod, which is what I use, I recommend Jeff Fetters for Fetters Custom Rods to meet your needs for a nice custom rod. But for those of you guys who are on a budget, this is going to be a great budget big fish reel, or rod, I should say. And then we're also coming out with our own bait casting reel. It's got a 33-pound drag, and the gear ratio is 6:4 to 1. So a pretty good gear ratio, but I really like having the 33-pound drag. I've been using this, been testing this out for a couple months, both of these rods from the boat. And they've both been holding up pretty good. And these are going to be on sale, I believe, for $70. And then once we get the rods in here, we're going to do a combo deal. So look for that towards the middle to end of December. On the Dynamic page, we'll have these. We'll have this rod and reel for if you're after big lake trout. This is going to be pretty cool for you this year, going forward. So we spent a lot of time working on this and just kind of making sure that we have like a production level rod for big fish that's affordable to a lot of people. If you want to go that custom rod option, that's great too. But we wanted to kind of fill the market in with the rod that was under $100 that was still a quality rod. So that's kind of a thing that we've been working on and coming out with. And then you can see behind me here, I have the Heat Hog heater. So those of you guys who haven't seen one yet, These are pretty cool. You can tilt them up or down. So it's a really cool feature. So you don't get that big pool of water in front of the heater. You can tilt it up a little bit and kind of direct the heat where you're going. This is, heavy duty. As you can see, I picked it up by the front. This is a heavy duty unit here. So heavy duty wiring on the front. And then in the back here is where you'll put you can hook your hose up to, or you can put your little green bottle inside. So this little one here it will last you about 5 hours on full blast, about 5.5 hours on full blast with a small green canister. If you get the bigger version of this, which you guys have seen in some of my photos and videos that I've shared, you're going to have about a 4 to 4.5 hour lifespan off a green bottle. So a little bit longer than Mr. Buddy heater on there. So you get a little bit more life and a little heavier duty, and then it's really nice just to be able to move that up and down and direct your heat a little bit more, so it's not just all going into the same spot on the ice. So if you guys got any questions as we're going along, feel free to jump in with some comments, like what's going on in your area. If you guys are ice fishing yet, you guys are pretty quiet so far tonight. So let's get those comments going. Let's get some stuff going. So let's see. Jake wants to know, is the heat hog? Yeah, light better. Yeah, most of the time, it's got, if you see this in the front, it's got a little shield on the front, and that does help if you have a breeze to light it on there. What I've found out with most of these, if you have a problem lighting it, it's mostly with your propane bottle being cold. From what I found out just from extensive use on this, but I do really like the Heat Hog. There's a couple other companies that have come out with heaters this year. So, I mean, ultimately, competition is good. It's good for us as anglers. It gives us more options. And it also pushes companies to continually make a product better and not just kind of leave it as is because it's the only thing out there. So it's kind of cool that we have a few different options anyway that come out. And we have the Otter Pro Universal Light Kit. So you can it's got some clamps on there that you can hook it directly up to any lithium battery that you have in your hut. I use a 15 amp hour Norsk lithium to do that. This is pretty cool. It's very bright, and it does have a switch that you can change the brightness on it. So it's a pretty good product, and you can see kind of all the things that it includes on the back here with the nice glare. But it does come with 2 LED light strips with a 1200 lumen max brightness. And like I mentioned, it has the inline off and on switch with the dimmer built into it. And then if you have an Otter hub, it comes with the shelter attachment kits, an 18-foot 12-volt power cord, and then you get a 7-foot alligator clips to hook up to your battery as well. So and you get some extra connecting wires. But I used this quite a bit last year, and these lights are so nice and so easy to just kind of hook up and go on the fly. I leave mine in my hubs when I fold them up. That way they're ready to go when I put them out. Thomas wants to discuss live scope for ice fishing deep water, effective or difficult. I mean, the LVS 34, what I found is if you're fishing, like he says, he's got difficulties in 80 foot or more. Kind of a cheat code that I've used to get around being able to see your bait in deeper water is putting it in forward mode and then shortening the range down to about 20 to 25 feet. This kind of gives you the same perspective as down mode, but the ability to shorten the range from from left to right, not necessarily your depth, but the range that you're out. So I'll move that range down to 20 or 25 feet. So that's all I'm looking at in forward mode. And it really does give you the option to really see the bottom in your jig a lot better. You can also pinch and zoom in. If you know exactly where your jig's at, you can pinch and zoom in. And that also helps, whether you're ice fishing when you're jigging or if you're trolling. And what's going on, Travis? If you're trolling or anything like that, having that ability to just pinch and zoom on that live scope really does make a difference in being able to see your baits a heck of a lot easier than just having it, kind of 60, 70 feet back. Now, if you're trolling stuff, out that far behind it, sometimes you don't really have a choice. Say if you're fishing kokanee suspended, I just have kind of select settings, I guess, that I have on there using your color gain and your color limit that really gives you the best view for your bait. And I usually run my gain on 100%. Excuse me, most of the time anyway. And then I just switch out my color gain and color limit depending on the depth. But if you're jigging deep water, try putting it in forward mode and then limiting your forward range to about 20 to 30 feet, and you should have a lot better luck seeing your jig. But so for those of you that are just joining us, welcome. We went over a few things, and as always, you can go back on YouTube and watch the full episode too if you show up late or miss a portion of it. This does automatically get posted to the YouTube page. So, yeah, no problem, Thomas. So feel free to share or whatever on this. But yeah, if there is something that you missed, feel free to go back and you'll be able to see it once it posts on there. But yeah, so just some cool products that I've been using over the last year. Some might be new to you. Like the Heat Hog heaters are starting to kind of gain a little bit of steam this year. We gave a few away at the MagAttack tournament last year. So, but those are it. I had some new dynamic baits too, the Twitch baits, but it looks like I forgot them in my truck. But yeah, if you guys I know a lot of people out in Minnesota, there's a lot of ice going on right now. A lot of fresh ice, a lot of places in Colorado, Utah, Idaho. We even have a little bit of ice here at the gorge, but it's that time of year where we're all anxious to get out and maybe we're not using our heads like we should. So just remember, if you're going out on the ice, make sure you have, if you don't have a suit that floats, make sure you have a life jacket. Even if your suit floats, make sure that you're with a buddy. You guys have a throw rope that you can, if someone goes in, you're able to easily access it, throw it, and get them out of there. Carry a spud bar. Make sure just because somebody else is out there doesn't mean the ice is safe, right? They could have went out there first thing in the morning. Maybe you're going out later in the afternoon. With it being cooler in the mornings and warmer in the afternoon, just assume that the ice isn't safe. Spud your way out, spud your way back. So a lot of people forget and get caught up in the afternoons is, hey, I spudded my way out there, but now, I'm just going to walk back. Well, that it warmed up, right? So, if you have rocks or a ramp or anything like that, that's going to absorb that heat a little bit more. It's going to affect the integrity of that ice. So just a few things to look out for with new ice. And, if you're like we are out west, there's a lot of times where we get a lot of high wind. It doesn't matter if you have 6 or 7 inches with the wind. That wind will bust up ice. There's a few times when I lived in Colorado, there was one time specifically we were out at Antero, and there's 8 inches of ice, and we were out on the North Shore and had a big old pressure ridge that cracked open. and it cracked open about 15, 20 feet wide. And we ended up having to walk almost a mile down the lake to be able to even cross to get on the shore because the wind came up. So that's just something else to think about too. Maybe that that's not on the top of your head, but just keep an eye out for the wind, the heat. All of that can affect the ice when you're out there. And obviously have a good time when you're out there, but make sure you're safe doing it, especially if you're bringing kids out there. We want to make sure everybody's safe out there. This time of year too, if you guys are targeting trout through the ice, you have browns and brook trout that are coming off their spawns, or maybe they're still a little bit late and still spawning under the ice. You're going to look for those rocky, shallow areas first thing in the morning, and then kind of work your way off that structure into deeper water later in the afternoon. So, by deeper water, I mean, for trout, usually like 8 to 15 feet of water. If you're going for cutthroats or something, you guys are going to be fishing a little bit deeper. But most of the lakes you guys are going to be fishing are shallow, plains, bowl lakes. So I like to find that shallow weed edge at first thing in the morning. Those fish seem to be pretty active up in there. And as the day progresses, they kind of seem to filter out into that deeper, more, oxygenated water. And they kind of cruise around. More mid-column. But, the important thing to remember if you guys are fishing for trout, rainbows, cutthroats, browns, brookies, lake trout, all of it, they always look up, right? So don't be afraid if you're in 12 feet of water, right, to have a bait, 6 to 8 feet down up off the bottom. A lot of times those fish will be cruising, or if they are cruising that weed edge and you're just off of that weed edge, say that weed edge comes up 4 or 5 feet. It's always a good rule of thumb to have your bait kind of in that same water column depth, because they'll cruise in and out of them weeds, and they'll be cruising above, and they'll see your bait if it's above. And sometimes they may not see it as good as if you're down a little bit shallow. Being able to fish with live scope the last few years, these are some things that I've kind of hammered home or retrained my brain with is, fishing before you always work weed edges. I always like that. That higher, fishing that higher water column. But having the live scope, you can physically see these fish moving in and out of the weed beds and where they're moving at in the water column. So I guess that just kind of reconfirms, our theories and stuff like that we've had in the past, because you can see it in real time. And we're not going to get on the debate of, is live scope good or bad? Obviously it's kind of like when 2D sonars first came out, or side scan. It's not going anywhere. It really is a great tool if you guys utilize it correctly to help you understand what the fish are doing, when they're doing it, and why they're doing it. I've learned so much. Used to have like a camera, like an AquaView or something down there to really see what the fish are doing. Now with live scope, you don't really need to have that. You have your fish finder that's kind of, even if you're not fishing, you can sit and watch and learn what these fish are doing just by watching the live scope and just kind of sitting there, not even fishing. You can see kind of how they're swimming, kind of the structure that they swim off and on. It's so cool to utilize that to help you understand the fish a little bit better. It does help you catch fish, but it ain't going to make you. It's not going to, just because you have live scope doesn't mean you're going to go out there and catch fish. I mean, I don't know how many times I've been out lake trout fishing where you can watch these fish come in, chase your bait, look at your bait, follow you for a mile or two if you're trolling, and just not want to bite. And it does help you kind of understand when they're doing that, to be able to switch certain baits out, change your speed, stuff like that. So you can use it as a great tool to kind of expand your knowledge on the particular fish that you're chasing. And, it's always important to write that stuff down and keep note of it. Because if you start seeing certain patterns, it's not just a coincidence, right? It becomes an actual pattern. That's kind of one of the things that has helped me out a lot, to try to understand these bigger fish. So Sean wants to know, Douglas, favorite bait caster reel in line for jigging lake trout. Yeah, so if I'm jigging, I like to use 30-pound braid, whatever your favorite braid is. I like the Berkeley X9. As far as bait casters go, the Abu Revo SX. If you have a good budget and you're willing to spend $180, $200, the Revo SX is really good by Abu Garcia. As I mentioned earlier, Dynamic Lures, we're coming out with our own lake trout reel. This is a 33-pound drag, 6.4 to 1 gear ratio. I've been using this the last couple months. Caught a couple nice few fish, or a few nice big fish. Can't talk tonight. On this reel this year, and this is you can get it on the Dynamic website right now. So if you go on the Dynamic Lures website, you can get this reel right now. I believe there's $70. You can use code RECON21 to get 15% off. And for those of you who are joining us, we'll kind of go over this, but we have a new ice rod that's going to be coming out for lake trout too, that I helped design. So this is going to be for those of you who want a production style rod, this is going to be around $80, so less than $100. This is going to be a really great option. It's 46 inches long, so it'll fit in most rod cases. So Sean Buckendall wants to know, live scope doesn't make the fish jump on your lure. Yeah, no. I mean, it definitely helps you, right, to see stuff in real time, to what the fish are doing and whose line they're looking at. I use it more. Yep, no problem, Sean. I use it more as a guide and another tool to help me better understand the fish. I mean, everything that we have electronics-wise, looking at the weather, barometric pressure, moon phases, stuff like that, right? It all aids us into helping us understand and try to our best to predict where the fish are going to be, what they're going to be feeding on. And all LiveScope really is just another tool in that arsenal, to help us better understand it. There are some circumstances where, it can be detrimental, but obviously that ultimately comes down to the angler that's utilizing it, right? It comes with anything else that we have. If it's utilized correctly, it's going to work to our advantage in a good way. And if you abuse it, just like anything else, well, you're going to be able to, abuse fisheries sometimes with it. But it's definitely not going anywhere. So it definitely is a great tool to help you understand, especially, if we're just talking about focusing on lake trout and, smaller lake trout. It is a great tool to be able to see fish that are clung onto structure like cliffs and stuff like that. And we had a blast on the boat about a week ago. We were up at Firehole. It was the first time I decided to go burbot fishing in about 5 years. And between the two boats, we got 115 burbot. But it was so cool watching the burbot on LiveScope just kind of slithering around on LiveScope was pretty cool to see. And them come in, and they would just kind of come in like this. And if you had the bait up a little bit, you'd watch them kind of nose up just a little bit like that before they bit. So it was pretty entertaining to watch. So especially if you're out there night fishing, there's not a whole lot going on. Gives you some entertainment out there, and we watched plenty of fish too that just did not care about your bait and just kept on swimming through the live scope. But they look so wild on live scope. They're like little snakes just kind of slithering through on there. So it was pretty neat to watch that on there. So Kurt, it really depends. Kurt wants to know if we use down scan or forward more for ice fishing. It really depends, how deep a water you're fishing in, what you're fishing for. As I was mentioned earlier, I like to fish it in forward mode and just shorten that screen down if I'm in deeper water to 20 or 30 feet to get a clearer picture. But down mode if you're in shallow water seems to be a little better if you're being able to see fish coming in. I have noticed if you're in forward fishing shallow water that there's quite a few fish that will just pop up out of nowhere. But the down view gives you a bigger bubble, I guess you could call it, for that. So speaking of Garmin and LiveScope, I'll be a guest on the Garmin Cole or I can't even talk tonight. Stone Cold Ice Fishing show next Sunday night at 7:00 Central Time. So, so we'll be talking more about LiveScope in depth on the Garmin live stream next week. But I use the LVS 34 mainly. So I haven't really messed around too much with the XR. I have a few times. It's mainly for deeper water applications. And the main difference between the 34 and the XR, besides the price and the size, is you're going to have a little bit less resolution on the XR as you will the 34, so you'll lose a little bit of the definition. Which, if you're fishing deeper water, you probably won't matter anyway if you're able to see your bait a little bit better. But yeah, so and just to throw this out there again too, if you guys are looking for a tournament to do this year, this year's Mac Attack tournament is going to be the President's Day weekend. So February 15th, 16th, and 17th. So, just make sure before you guys leave, you get squared away for Valentine's Day, which is Friday, the 14th, and make sure you get that taken away, or just, bring your significant other out to the lake and make it a weekend out here for that. It's going to be another great event. Plenty of giveaways and stuff like that out here. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions too, while we're going here, feel free to shout out some questions, or if there's a technique that you use that you like that you want to share, feel free to go ahead and share that for us. We'll give it a few moments here for you guys if you got some more questions to kind of pop that stuff, pop those questions up. I'll kind of take a moment. Then, yeah, the Mag Attack's going to be off of total amount of lake trout. So there's no average weight or anything like that. You can have teams up to 4. So if you guys want to bring the whole family out and just fish and have a blast and win some money, there's plenty of categories and stuff to be able to do that. We'll have some side pots going on as well. So, but yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and chuck them out there. Overall, you guys are fairly quiet tonight. Yeah, so or if there's any other products that you guys want to shout out that you guys have been using, feel free. I'll be at the St. Paul Ice Fishing Expo Friday through Sunday. So I'm going to try to do some videos, or even maybe hop on live randomly while I'm there to kind of show you guys, if you've never been, just show you the size, how big this show, and how many cool vendors are always there. So Kurt says that Blue has some fishable ice at Lake City Bridge. And then let's see, Sean says sucks because I just hit my training schedule for the next year. February through May is booked every week. Well, as you guys, Sean won our veteran trip giveaway. So for Veterans Day, I gave away a full day guided fishing trip for up to 3 people for lake trout or salmon or whatever you guys want to fish for. And Sean was the one that won. So congratulations, Sean, on that. But if you can't come in May, you're going to miss the best time to catch a big fish. So leading into that too, I am booking dates for next year. May is almost completely gone already. So if you guys are wanting to get with me to come learn how to catch big lake trout, utilize your live scope a little bit better, or see the gear I'm using, anything like that, I have the website is up and running. It has a calendar. If there's an orange mark through it, that day is gone. But I am taking reservations for next year. They are going pretty quick. So if you guys are watching out there and you're on the fence about it, go to the website and find out the info how to book a trip and come out with me. And it's always a great time. I'm excited for next year. This year we had a lot of salmon at the lake, at the gorge here, so it was pretty good. To really surprising, honestly, to see the amount of fish we did this year. So it's really encouraging to see where we're going to be this next year. We caught a lot of big rainbows and cutthroats this fall. A lot of pups doing our pup trips, but we're really seeing a lot of nice, average rainbow, 18 to 20 inch, really fat, healthy fish. So it's kind of got me excited for next year, just to kind of see where we're at on fish numbers and stuff like that. I'm not sure. Marcus wants to know when I'll start ice fishing this year. For big fish, probably won't. Usually it's, at least mid-January typically is when we have safe ice on the lake where the big fish are at. It varies each year. I'm hoping this year it's everything's been a little cooler so far this year, more snow. So I'm hoping that translates into actually being able to get on the ice this year. Last year, I think I only was able to fish for like two or three days on the ice. It was kind of a sad year last year. So I'm hoping this year I can get out a little bit more on the ice and be able to do some videos and stuff out there in the old otter hut. So yeah, but anyway, I'll kind of give you guys a few minutes. If you have any other questions, we'll get some questions going. If not, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. And then I'll try to go live too when I come back from St. Paul and kind of do a recap on there. Give some updates. If you guys are wondering, like here at Buckboard, it's pretty much open all the way from Sage Creek south. So there's a lot of open water. The water temperature is about 40 degrees. And the fishing has been pretty cool. I mean, I was live on Thanksgiving and caught a nice 20-pounder on some light gear. It was pretty crazy, actually. Fishing for rainbows and caught a big fish on light gear. It was a blast. So you guys scroll down on the Recon Angling page, you'll be able to see the post where I was live. It's live 2.0. But yeah, I caught a big old Laker on a very small new Berkeley. What is it? Berkeley finisher number 5. So it was pretty fun. But anyway, yeah. So yep, no problem, Kurt. And we'll try to keep you guys up to date on ice and happenings and techniques and stuff. Hopefully, if we get enough ice in a few spots, I can go do a live show and do like a how-to for pups and do it live and kind of show you guys in real time what I'm doing. It's just a matter of being able to get ice where I have service to do that. Otherwise, I'll have to bring the generator out there with Starlink and get that cooking. So. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching tonight. When I get back from St. Paul, I'm sure I'll have plenty of more new cool stuff to share with you guys and show you some new products and stuff like that. So we'll go ahead and wrap the show up a little early this week. So hope you guys are safe out there, tight lines, and we'll catch you next time.